Hello everybody, today I'll be scaping in my 10-gallon tank and I'll be using the Fluval Plant 3.0 Lite. First I'll be placing down filter material. This is to ensure that the weight of the rocks doesn't create a pressure point and break the glass. In this scape I'm going to be using Sirius stone to create a mountain effect. I will keep placing pieces of Sirius stone on the filter material to create a retaining wall. Now that I have the base layer of my retaining wall, I'm going to fill in the back area with gravel. I'm then going to continue to build up height to my retaining wall by adding more Sirius stone stacked on top of the existing stones and gravel. At this point, I'm going to use bits of paper towel and cyanoacrylate glue in order to secure the pieces of stone together. This will lend for a stronger retaining wall. While continuing to glue stones together, I am also going to add more pieces of Sirius stone to the retaining wall to create more height. I will also be adding more gravel to the back area to support the retaining wall as it gets higher. It is at this point that I realized that I didn't account for an area for my hang on the back filter to go. At this point I decided to tear down half of this retaining wall and only have it extend about 3/4 the way across the tank. Once I got most of the backfill gravel removed, I used the scissors to trim the filter material as it will no longer be needed in this area. Now that the excess filter material is removed, I'm going to start adding Sirius stone to create a retaining wall going towards the back of the tank. After spending some time trying to figure out how I want the stones to be, I decided to move on to adding Pacific driftwood to help add detail to the retaining wall. I ended up going back and adding a few more pieces of Sirius stone in order to get a different angle on this piece of driftwood. After spending some time messing with different pieces of Sirius stone and wood, this is the hardscape that I have come up with. Using a few pieces of tape, I'll be securing this piece of black poster board to the back of the tank to use as a background. I will now be placing window screen into the top area where I plan to put terrestrial plants. This will stop any soil from getting into the water column. Now that the window screen is fitted, I'll be filling this area with aqua soil. Next, I'll be adding sand to the foreground. I chose a lighter toned sand in order to create contrast between the foreground of the tank and the darker Sirius stone. After adding the sand, I'm going to add a few smaller pieces of Sirius stone to add a bit of interest and detail to the foreground. Now I'm going to add even smaller gravel to add more detail to the foreground. Doing this is going to give it a more natural look. Next, I'll start planting the terrestrial plants in the top area of the hardscape. I have two different types of plants. I have this pink polka dot plant, and I also have this fiber optic grass. First, I'm going to add a little bit of water to the aqua soil in order to make it a little easier to work with. I will then create a small hole for the roots of the fiber optic grass to go. As you can see, I had to trim the fiber optic grass a little bit because it was way too big of a plant. I will then place it in the hole and push the aqua soil back in place in order to lock it in. Now to plant the polka dot plant. Before placing into the soil, I'll wrap the roots around itself in order to make it easier to manage. Do the same as I did with the fiber optic grass by pushing the aqua soil back in on the plant in order to lock it in. I'll repeat this process with the second piece of polka dot plant. I'm then going to water it a little bit as the aqua soil is still fairly dry. Now it's time to plant the submerged plants. I chose Anubias Nana Petite because it is low maintenance and very small, creating a sense of scale in this small setup. Much like this piece, you can glue it to small rocks in order to weigh it down. You do not want to place Anubias in the substrate as the rhizome will rot. It is not always necessary to glue it down, as some pieces can just be wedged within the hardscape. Now that everything's planted, it's time to fill the tank with water. I'll be using a piece of filter material in order to disperse the water and not disturb the sand. As part of this scape is terrestrial growth, I will not be fully filling this tank with water. Now that the tank is filled with water, it's time to install the hang on the back filter. I've had this filter running on another tank in order to keep the bacteria active. I'm placing the hang on the back filter behind the hardscape as much as possible in order to not ruin the view. Now I have to prime the filter by adding water to the filter compartment before plugging it in. Next, I'll be adding water conditioner in the form of API's Aqua Essential. It removes chlorine, chloramines, and heavy metals while also detoxifying ammonia, nitrite, and nitrates. I will also be using API's CO2 Booster and API's Leaf Zone as fertilizers for the plants. I will also be adding API's Quick Start, which is an alive bacteria which will help jumpstart the cycle. After 1 week, I'll do a 50% water change. After the water change, I'm adding Amazon Frogbit and Tiger Frogbit. This will add more detail to the aquascape and pull out any excess nutrients that there may be in the water column. After 2 more weeks, it is now time to add fish. I have a small group of Long Fin Mountain Minnows. I will drip acclimate them for about 45 minutes. Sadly, I forgot to hit record upon initial release. After adding fish, I like to give a dose of API Quick Start. This helps give the bacteria an extra boost in dealing with the added waste. I had a lot of fun putting together this scape, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date on future projects that I have planned.